Today, I'm going to try to draw this lighthouse on the southern coast of Jeju Island in South Korea. And the first thing I want to do here on this, I know, too bright to see paper, is roughly decide where my horizon is. So that from there, I can plan just how big I want the lighthouse to be, which is what I'm doing now. While the path to the lighthouse is a significant component of the scene, I don't want to sketch it in before I know how much space the lighthouse will take up, or I might not give it enough room. Um, I kind of vacillate between one and the other. I know I've talked about in a past video how, it's important to get the setting, or I feel like it's important to get the setting, or somebody told me it's important enough to get the setting. But for this one, the path is important and the surrounding area is important, but its importance comes from its ability to lead the eye to the subject itself, which in this case is clearly the lighthouse. That being said, while it might have been tempting for me to put the lighthouse directly in the middle of the paper, as it is the most important piece, I'm also cognizant of just how supplemental the path and surrounding environment can be. This is by no means some expert level composition, but I'll also say that knowing that didn't come to me just from these 7 days of drawing alone. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this, so if I have, well, I have a feeling that's going to happen a lot in these voiceovers. I am still very much getting used to the hang of it. But I am a professional photographer. That skill, which I've built up over the course of a decade, has, I'm sure, had an impact on this process of learning how to draw. I'm sure that I take for granted some of the stuff that just lives in my head, that I'm not sure someone who hasn't done that or a similar visual medium like this would, have the same feelings, in this case, about composition. My eye for composition is probably the best example for this, but I'd say that it also impacts my subject selection, that whole process as well. Along with that, I'd group in lighting, although I'm less particular about that because if I'm going to make one of these every day, oh man, sometimes I'm just going to have to accept what's in front of me. Plus, a breadth of variety is only going to help me improve, ideally. At this point, I'm drawing in some of the details of the lighthouse, which, again, I've sort of mentioned this, the mirror version of this in a previous video. It's probably not the optimal way to go about it. I should maybe be getting the rest of the scene blocked in, but I'm doing this to make sure that the proportions are okay. I've tried to use the door as a guide, so its height is give or take the same as the space between itself and the window, like the top of the door and the next window. Between the windows themselves, the top window and the top of the lighthouse, you get the point. So then now that I have that, I can approximately mark where other things go. And so if I was wrong in my measurement of the lighthouse as a whole, I can tweak that right now rather than relying on its surroundings and being stuck with, maybe the lighthouse goes up to the top, doesn't fit on the page, is too squat, whatever. Anyway, photography. Something people like to say about it that I'm sure you've heard or maybe even have said yourself, especially toward travel photography, which I guess is what I do, is that it can take away from one's ability to appreciate the moment. Then you have the other side, the hordes of photographers arguing the opposite, that photography actually helps them appreciate things, probably even more so than everyone who's not taking photos. My take honestly lives somewhere between the two, and I think my position has been maybe bolstered by this whole drawing thing. On the one hand, I understand why people assume that focusing on photography takes away from the experience. I like to have my camera in my hand when I'm taking photos, which is nearly constant at this point. And I know that when I'm in that state of mind, some parts of the world, excuse the pun, sharpen, and others dull considerably. Um, I probably wouldn't have admitted that in the past, but the switch that occurs is just so instant and total. It's impossible to ignore. It's like a very myopic feeling. And while, yes, I'm probably paying closer attention to my surroundings, it's not for the purpose of soaking up the moment, but to capture it. On the other hand, it can sometimes feel like other people are mindlessly sauntering through the world, moving from place to place on autopilot. Maybe if they had an artistic purpose to pursue, one that was inextricably linked to their surroundings, like photography, they'd pay attention. In fairness, I don't know what's going on in other people's heads, so that could be so far off. And I absolutely do not mean to sound holier than thou. I just know myself. And I think that having a camera on me can make me much more focused, but in a completely different way from when I don't. And when that happens, um, I feel like I do see the world, but, maybe in more a specific way. When I leave the camera at home, I might not appreciate the small things, as vigorously. um, well, and we finally reach my point. Drawing, and more precisely, this kind of drawing, where I'm looking around at the world in search of a scene or subject, and then sitting down to intently gaze at it for an extended period of time, just to maybe, hopefully, interpret directly what I see. That makes me feel connected to the experience. Photography is great for visually memorializing. Leaving the camera at home is great for engaging in conversation, or to savor and hold on to the general sense of a place, the feeling that it offers, the vibe, as the kids say. Um, and that's especially true if you're with someone as well, because photography can really screw that up if you're not careful. And then there's this weird experiment I'm engaging in, this whole drawing thing, learning how to draw. Um, it is absolutely its own thing, and you know, I'm sure it will come with its own pitfalls soon enough. I just can't see them yet. I'm absolutely ignorant, so I'm aware. But it's between those two worlds, and for me, it's kind of bringing them together in a really fulfilling way. I'm not going to stop taking pictures. That's not the point. And I'm not going to stop taking some of those much needed days off of taking pictures either. But there's just something really hypnotic about this process that's aiding me in appreciating my surroundings, along with my day, my time, my time with my wife, all of it. I'm just really enjoying it. And on that note, just thank you. Thank you for watching. If you are, this has been, this is a lot of fun, and I hope I can continue it for a while. Whew, okay. Anyway, the whole point of bringing up photography originally was to say that I've been able to hone my eye compositionally. That was the whole idea. But we went on a journey with that one. Talk about a tangent. Jeez. Okay. So now that I have my lighthouse all set, I've jumped into the horror, the absolute hell that is all that foreground texture. All the rocks, and it's just so awful. I have at this point, I have locked in my mind that little bit of advice that I talked about yesterday from Toby Sketchloose about, implying texture, getting some of those bigger shapes down, going in a little vague. Um, I really don't wanna convince myself in the moment that I need to draw every single rock with all of its cracks and crevices, but instead just letting the pen suggest the environment. With some of these rocks, you'll notice I've shaded one side of them, like, I've drawn the shadow in to imply that they are three-dimensional things, unlike the sort of, I guess, tiles, what you call it, of the path. Those are pretty flat to the ground, so I didn't wanna add any depth to them at all, and so that is exactly what I did with the rocks. I added so much depth. I know you can see. It looks great. But yeah, now that I've gone in and solidified some of the lines on the lighthouse, so not sure I really needed to do that. Um, I'm done. There you go. Um, I'm not too displeased with this one. It's simple, and a lighthouse is about as obvious a choice as any. But hey, maybe I'll go find another one and draw that one too. I hope you enjoyed this video. I especially hope you enjoy the little sailboat in the background because I don't know how else you would have known that it's water. So yeah, I appreciate you taking the time and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks.